let's clap and let's get this show on the road because I have a 13-page episode for us today. Welcome to the internet, live from a rail service with link inserted somewhere in the name for no discernible reason. This is the Red Line Podcast. I'm your host, quote, Marilyn keeps doing it, unquote, Dunstan, and these are my co-hosts.
Kyle, quote, Kyle, quote, Metro subway link for every city, close quote.
I was going to say you should be Larry Hogan hater, but that works too. Maybe Alex can be Larry Hogan hater.
Who the hell's Larry Hogan?
Yeah, who is that?
You remember the guy from the Purple Wine episode that slashed funding for the Purple Wine?
Oh, yeah.
That was him, and he appears again in this episode. So,
no, not the slasher of funds. Slasher, no slashing. I yield the floor.
Okay. Alex, quote, Larry Hogan hater? Or disliker, maybe? That's a bit less strong. Quote, Fielder. Today we're returning to the lovely state of Maryland to talk about Baltimore's truly tumultuous transit history. Try and say that 5 times fast. All this
Baltimore's tumultuous
news.
transit history. Baltimore's tumultuous transit history.
no, the
Baltimore's
problem
tumultuous
is,
transit history.
the real problem is saying truly tumultuous transit history. Like, that is legitimately a tongue twister.
I'm surprised I got it out the first time.
I know, I was impressed.
Baltimore's truly tumultuous transit history. 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 Baltimore's truly tumultuous transit history.
What does tumultuous mean?
Oh, shut up.
Someone
I'm trying
didn't
my
need
best,
speech
okay?
therapy, and it shows.
Ugh, I got speech therapy.
Oh, you
I
did?
had eyeball therapy. I
Yeah.
bet you didn't know that existed.
I did not know that existed.
No, I didn't.
I used to go like whatever the opposite of cross-eyed was. My left eye would kind of just like wander off to the left a
Oh,
ways.
a lazy eye.
No, it wasn't a lazy eye
Is that
because
like duck-eyed?
because I could get it back. Like a lazy eye you can't control how it does.
Oh, but this one you
like
could
this
control.
I could fix it, and they were training me how to fix it.
Okay.
92 episodes, and it took that long to find that out.
I know, right?
92 episodes, almost 3 years. Yeah. So, Kyle, can I get the news noise?
Oh, right. Do.
So, for the first time in several months, I think, we have something local today.
Wow, something happened in the great state of Beehive.
In the Commonwealth of Deseret, as we like to say.
Oh, we wish.
So, the Utah Transit Authority's Trax Light Rail System is getting new trains. Stadler and the UTA have signed a $129 million contract for 20 new CityLink light rail vehicles. The trains will be built right here in Salt Lake City, and the contract includes options for as many as 60 additional train sets to be built in the future. UTA hopes to use these vehicles to modernize service on the Blue Line, which currently uses 25-year-old vehicles, and to prepare for service expansion with the upcoming Orange Line project. See episode...
Even though the vehicles...
Which episode is that?
See episode... That was a video.
Oh, yeah, video.
On the YouTube.
On the YouTubes.
Yeah, even though the vehicles feel 50.
Well, you see, the funny thing is ours aren't even that old, all things considered. Like... The Baltimore Light Rail Link, which we will discuss later, still uses these vehicles, and it opened in 1992 or 2-ish.
Yeah, I can understand why like the federal funding cutoff for new vehicles is 30 years. Like after that, it's easy. Before that, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel bad for whoever has to figure out how to get them from the factory to the agency. That's going to be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be an expensive shipping operation. Is that even accounted for in the contract?
What do you mean, is that going to be an expensive shipping operation? It's like 20 feet.
They don't even need to load them up on, like, flatbed trains, do they?
No, you could just, like, grab a locomotive, hitch it up, drive it down to the part where the UP main line connects with the system, and just, like, drive them into the yard.
Do you think they would do that with the front runner locomotives?
I think so.
No, they'd have to use whatever short line is in charge of things.
Oh, because that'd be cool.
That's how rails work.
Yeah, it would be cool, but I don't think UTA heavy rail operators are certified on Union Pacific track.
Right, yep, that would do it.
and the
Interesting facts
cab
about these.
signaling, and the cab signaling in
Oh.
front runner trains is like, wish.com cab signaling, so it doesn't work on normal railways.
Why did we get a waiver for that? Why? Because of woke. Fun facts about the new trains. UTA intends to order an ultra-short variant of the City Link that doesn't exist yet. It's shorter than the shortest available length.
Not do that?
Some rail fans have theorized that it might have to do with the maintenance facilities and not having to do any super expensive upgrades to accommodate longer vehicles. Of course, theories about hitching different kinds of trains together also have been floating around. Really? We don't know.
I mean, if Portland can do it with like 6 different types of trains, we can do it.
Oh my goodness. Well, we can't even manage hitching 2 different kinds of Siemens trains together, so I don't know about 2 different companies' trains.
Maybe this is a Siemens issue. Except it's not, because Portland has... So I don't know what's going on, man.
Did you see this from... was this from trains.com?
It was from trains.com, and I got it like hot off the press. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, can we flash the livery here? I mean, we might be able to.
That's not made by the federal government, so the answer is probably no.
Oh, rats. Well, I don't know.
Take a really bad picture of it.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that'll do it. The other issue with shorter trains is, of course, cost, because although UTA has officially redacted the cost of these individual light rail vehicles from the copy of the contract...
Well, why don't we just extrapolate?
Well, they also redacted some other numbers that are part of the total contract cost to make that a little bit more difficult. I'm sure you can rough the math out yourself, but these are some pretty expensive LRVs. Not necessarily a bad thing, all that money is going right back into the Utah economy, but maybe it would be more economical to buy larger trains to get more capacity per unit money.
Shocking. Anyway, this has been the news.
Oh yeah, I was also going to add, I just went to, speaking of other local news, I just went to the city open house for the 400 South shared use path project.
Oh,
the city will be next year putting a shared use path on the south side of 400 South from 200 West to 900 West, going through the freeway interchange.
200 West to 900 West. Oh, so it's all on the west side, so it doesn't affect the tracks portion.
This does overlap 2 blocks of the TechLink extension. So yeah, this will be very cool. It will go on the side of the freeway interchange that doesn't suck and only has 1 crosswalk instead of 4. And they have managed to bejigger the lanes on that giant bridge to accommodate, I think one of the designers said, possibly up to 14 feet of shared use path protected by Jersey barriers.
Are they going to connect the Third West trail to it?
Actually, this is caught wind. It's a little. They're trying to keep things a little bit under the radar for now, but there is a plan in the works to extend the Third West Trail on all of the city-owned right-of-way up to 400 South. After that, Third West is UDOT, so that's a whole different question.
UDOT, my disbeloved. But they like trails these days.
Relatively speaking, they like right turn lanes more than they like trails. So
well, but they built one on 7th East between 13th and 17th. So
Are they done with that?
This could. I think they're done. I don't go
I've not been
on
there.
7th East. So
many people don't.
Because it's deadly and horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that would be a separate project if it happened. And they're also doing a great job doing like half protected intersections on the new 2-way bike path, because it's 2-way, you only need the protection on the one side. So
well,
good things to come.
Also, I have to say, now that 2nd South is basically done, they did a pretty bang up job with that whole thing as well.
Relatively speaking, yeah.
It all makes me very excited to move down.
To the Big Apple.
Seriously.
It's
going to
feel
apple.
huge. The city
that
always
never sleeps. The city that bikes at night.
No, it doesn't. Except on Thursdays.
And apparently Wednesdays recently.
Oh, is that happening now?
There's a Nines competitor that is, quote, like the Nines but less problematic, according to their advertising. It starts at like 6 o'clock on a Wednesday.
That is pretty good advertising. I do rather like the nines, but less problematic.
I do believe I've chatted with a few of the people who were conceptualizing this in years past.
Are they what are they like? Bike weight. Who's the Sweet Streets? Are they them?
No, this is not a Sweet Streets thing.
Woke pronouns, Sweet Streets.
It's on the Sweet Streets event calendar, which is wonderful, but...
Oh, I'm supposed to schedule a slurm for November, speaking of.
Oh, yeah, for real. We should do that. Any ideas?
Absolutely none, but
We
I'm
can go
taking
break into
any
the
ideas.
Stadler factory and steal the trains.
I believe that would be a crime and therefore discouraged by the bylaws of slurm.
Oh, okay. Well,
When you
I'll think
say
on it.
that's problematic, that just means like traffic-wise, right?
What did I say less problematic about?
About the competitor to the 9.
I'm actually not sure. I want to go to one of them, but I haven't had a chance. For example, there is one happening right now, but we're recording the podcast.
Okay.
Many such
'Cause
issues.
It,
I don't
is-
know I don't know where they stand on traffic law compliance. I'd imagine they're focusing more on the large amounts of drinking, weed smoking, and petty vandalism.
And not to mention the very, very obnoxiously loud music playing in the middle of the
Yeah,
night.
that too. Because it's not the traffic violations that get the 9s in trouble. It's the petty vandalism and the loud music.
Well, I guess it is Sober October, so...
But I don't actually know. I have not been to one yet, so I can't speak for them. I just am happy that there is a competitor.
Well, keep us in the loop.
The Gloop, I will.
Happening in a Salt Lake City near you.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been
Do, do,
the news.
Do.
Do.
Now to the other side of the country, where they have, quote, water, unquote, and also Tide Pods.
What?
The Tide Light Rail.
Norfolk Tide.
Oh, that's a ways away from here, though. Although you can take the train
Well-
between these two.
It's pretty close compared to Salt Lake City.
Oh, I guess that's true. Although I don't recognize the existence of Norfolk. So, conceptually
Ouch.
speaking, Salt Lake City is much closer.
Oh, do you just hate the East Coast?
Yes, I do. Thank you. That was a joke. Please don't cancel
That's
me.
a hot
90% of the country's population.
We are canceling you. You don't stand a chance.
So, Baltimore. It's important, even though people don't remember it.
Wow.
Sandwiched between Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia on the Northeast Corridor, Baltimore is a city of nearly 600,000 people, anchoring a metro area of more than 2.7 million. It's the home of the national anthem, thanks Fort McHenry. But more importantly, it has trains. 2 of them, in fact. But it should have more. So why does Baltimore have so few trains? How did it get the ones that it does have? And how can it get more? Well, that's what this episode is for.
I love the setup for this episode. More
I-
important than the national anthem.
Yeah, well, duh. I mean, trains. Come on, man.
I guess that's fair. Name
Uh,
one, who's the guy who wrote the national anthem? Francis Scott Key?
Yeah, Francis Scott Key.
Okay. Just
This
name
is-
a line
this is
after
U.S.
him.
history erasure.
Should we play the national anthem here? I think there's a free version in YouTube Music.
There's
Oh,
gotta be a
probably,
free
yeah.
version. It's all about freedom.
If there isn't a free version, I can go play it on the goddamn piano.
Oh,
You should do that anyway.
Can
Yeah, and Sophie, you can sing
you see by the dawn's early? Everyone
That was
sings it like
impressively accurate, yeah.
everyone sings it like that at the Super Bowl, which is partially because it's a really hard song to sing. But anyway, so Alex, would you like to do this bit here?
Sure.
It's quite a long bit, just be warned.
That's fine. I'm all about bits.
All right,
So-
Bitmeister, let's hear it.
I think
So, Baltimore, like most American cities, began its transit life with the humble omnibus and streetcar.
Wow, this is exciting and surprising. You bet they had horse-drawn streetcars, too?
and then you'll never guess what they had. They had horse-drawn streetcars, and then they had get this, electric streetcars. And then
I'm betting it's
they
not
got
like San
rid of
Francisco
them.
where the horses slid down the hill to their death.
That is still my favorite, like, fun fact of our podcast in history is that, like, the reason cable cars exist is because too many horses were falling and breaking their legs in San Francisco.
The human condition.
The horse condition.
Yeah, real.
The horse condition is just suffering.
Real. Cable,
Anyway.
cable car barn, except it's powered by horses and hamster wheels.
I think that's how they initially did it.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Don't look that up.
I'm not gonna look that up. I don't want to see that.
Just let
We
them
have
rest.
advanced technologically.
Just put the horses in a paddock somewhere and let them retire. They've done enough work.
Yeah,
They've done enough running around hamster wheels.
we are pro horse AARP here. Or sorry, AARH.
Anyway, it was electric and then cable-driven streetcars. Those began in the 1890s after several decades of horse car operations, and electric streetcars continued as a dominant form of transportation in the city until 1974, when bustitution began in earnest.
That
This
would
is
be 1947, not 1974.
Did I say 74?
You did.
Oops.
Maybe that was just
They
wishful
were
thinking.
really late to bustitution.
They would have been like the latest to bustitution. I will say
Impressive.
it's somewhat surprising that Baltimore had cable railways, since that's normally like a hilly city thing, and Baltimore is not a particularly hilly city.
They were just more for horse rights than other places.
They had AARH earlier than other people.
Yeah, they had it in 47 rather than 74.
Fun fact about the Baltimore streetcar gauge, though, is that it was not standard gauge. It was like, I think,
Why?
5 feet. Oh, I gotta look this up now.
Fucking Bart Streetcar .jpg.
Oh, yeah, it was 5 feet 4.5 inches instead of 4 feet 8.5 inches.
Just for fun?
It seems like it.
Okay.
So,
Well, the last of the streetcar service petered out on November 3rd, 1963. Jeez, yeah. Well, that's pretty late for streetcars, isn't it? 63.
it's not like early by any means, no.
Yeah. And that left Baltimore a city devoid of rail rapid transit. They got
Rest in
completely
peace.
bustituted.
Ouch.
I am wondering if I invented the word bustituted, because people keep telling me that they never heard it before the podcast, but I swear I heard it somewhere else.
Maybe we should do a deep dive into the history of the word bustitution.
Episode 99.
Yeah, great plan. Instead of making videos about things that are actually happening, we can just talk about bustitution.
we can do words and Tom Scott kind of stuff.
Oh, green screen and everything.
Transit Tom Scott.
Oh, great.
Well, the city's diverse bus services were consolidated in the following years, and eventually the new Baltimore Metropolitan Transit Authority was formed.
Bamada. Bamada.
Yeah, I do quite like the idea of Bamada and Wamada both existing in the same world, but unfortunately
love
this was
that.
not to be.
Aww.
Oh. After a few name changes, Bamada, and this is unfortunate, became the Maryland Transportation Administration that we know and love.
That's just like a
Today?
cheap ripoff of the actual MTA.
Yeah, well, everyone loves to have that acronym, and they were also the MMTA previously, or
I like
briefly,
that.
the Maryland
That's
Mass
clever.
Transportation Administration, MMTA.
That's a lot better.
Mamada.
Well, other than the name change, the city had a problem. Like most American cities in the 1960s, it was utterly clogged with traffic.
I wonder why.
Now this traffic, being a force of God, just appeared out of the ether and descended upon the city
Well,
and
yes,
demanded
you
more
see,
lands.
we got rid of the streetcars to make more space for cars, and traffic increased. Shocking.
And we were also building out nationwide highway systems. Not saying which. And we've also been funneling obscene amounts of money into road projects before even the interstate system came about. So I wonder why all the cars are driving.
Cars be driving.
We'll never know, just the force of nature. But
Yeah.
because of this, planners began thinking about building a brand spanking new rapid transit system in Baltimore. Metros were...
No, it would be funny if we thought about that just in terms of providing transportation for the people and not like, wow, traffic sucks.
Well,
But-
we're lucky that they even thought about that, because some places don't.
Yeah.
At the time, metros were very in vogue, and the initial 1968, not 1986, report envisioned a 71, not 17, because I'm reading numbers backwards today, mile hub-and-spoke metro system, like that being discussed for Washington at the time.
Ooh. That'd be really cool, given how good DC's
And
turned out.
I have a little map here.
Ooh, I love a good map.
Yeah, it has a kind of like, this is like the hub and spoke system of all time, in that
know,
there is
right?
like a singular central station. Funnily enough, that station does exist today, but it only has one line going to it. But we'll get to
Lame.
that.
A hub with only one spoke. That
I
does
don't
not
know
make
if
a
there. I
wheel.
think this is just like a line, and there's no hub or spoke.
Yeah.
That's just a stick to beat people with.
Like, you could almost make a bicycle with this system.
Yeah, just about. It might actually work. We should try that, making wheels out of different transit systems.
Oh, and see how they ride?
That
Well,
would be
and-
flipping hilarious.
And funnily enough, on this map is also some planned freeway lines, including one that goes under the bay. But this never actually went under the bay because they built the Francis Scott Key Bridge instead, and that's the one that collapsed just a little while ago.
Awkward.
Oh.
So,
But the freeway
wait,
line
maybe I'm
existed
thinking of something
nonetheless.
else. Hold on.
No,
Yeah, make sure we're saying true things.
I mean, I do like saying lies on the Red Line podcast, but we are trying to avoid them these
the
days
Red
for
Lie
some reason.
podcast.
Okay, no, that's a different one. Rats. So this tunnel does exist, unfortunately.
Well,
Oh, okay. Alas, the subway does not, in fact, exist. Really, it's a testament to project funding and national level priorities that on this map, the freeways got built,
Oh, they got built.
and the subway system did not.
They mostly got built, except for the kind of like famous freeway to nowhere, which you've probably heard of.
Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Where they just blew up part of Maryland to put a freeway for a little bit.
Yeah, and then it just had to be stopped. So,
Ha. Oh,
but most of these did get built, unfortunately.
similar to the freeway to nowhere, a lack of funding forced planners to pare back with their ambitions for the system to a much shorter 28-mile stretch, combining
what
two
sort
of the
of
lines.
system is that?
Not a good one.
It's a stretch, not a system, like you said.
So only two of the lines made it from the original system plan.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't actually two of the lines. It was just, two of the kind of like branches of the original system that got sort of combined together into a super line.
I like the idea of a super line.
Super line.
This new line would run from O-Wings Mills in the western suburbs to the airport, stopping by downtown on the way. It's crazy they started with an airport line and not ended with that.
I
I
know,
know, right?
Ever optimistic?
Very ahead of their time.
I guess if you only got one line, it better hit hard.
Yeah. Well, you got to make the most of it
Yeah.
if you're Baltimore.
But it seems like a pretty nice alignment. Like, I'm not from Baltimore, so I don't know all the cool places this is hitting, but you're heading kind of north and then northwest. There's not very much backtracking at all.
It's not the best line they could have built, but it's a decent one. And I will say that they were quite optimistic with this line because they called it, quote, phase 1.
Hoping to build
obviously
the rest
hoping
of their
that they would, yes, build the rest of it eventually.
Just to double check, the airport is called Friendship International?
It was at the time. Now it is called, I think, just... What is it called now?
Is it BWI?
Baltimore Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport.
Oh,
that's
way
so
less
much lamer.
I like Friendship International.
Yeah.
Funding for this singular line was approved by the Maryland General Assembly, which is awesome, in 1972, and it looked like things were going to be smooth sailing. ... But then the NIMBY Nation attacked.
Yeah, it's like aliens attack in the old movies. That's what this is like.
And the transit system is like flailing and bleeding on the floor.
Pretty much. Yeah, I hope we get a redemption arc one day. The residents that attacked this line lived along the southern end of the line in Anne Arundel.
Dude, I couldn't pronounce it either.
Arundel County, immediately kicking up a fuss as they were very racist about it.
Yeah, they were very racist about it. Like, they were like maybe the most like explicitly racist that anyone has ever been about it, because they were worried about, quote, undesirable elements, read black people, who couldn't drive coming from the city and looting their homes. They even started calling the plan, quote, loot rail.
Oh my god.
That is insane.
I hate this sort of rich person.
Loot rail.
Fucking loot rail. Oh my god.
It was meant to be a playoff of light rail, which is funny because it wasn't even a light rail line. But
wait a second. Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, I
and
think
then
this also
Maryland
proves...
later built transit and it didn't bring crime and the evil pores everywhere and everything was fine.
No, shockingly it did not.
As a result of these racist NIMBYs, the South Line was eventually eliminated from the plan in 1975, and the line was pared back to a mere 8 miles in 1976 after concerns arose over growing costs.
Zero fucking ambition. We're down from 70 something to 8.
It's not a lack of ambition, it's racist and funding.
It's racism and poverty. Oh, and I should mention, sort of related to the BWI station on Amtrak that I said was directly in the terminal. That was a lie of the Red Line podcast. I was incorrect.
I thought that was too good to be true.
You have to take a bus from the station to the terminal.
So potentially worse than Newark.
I think it is worse than Newark. Although I think I was confused by this because the light rail station in BWI is right in the terminal, and I thought they were in the same place. So that is my bad. Okay. I done screwed up.
BWI is still serviced by the Northeast Corridor, right?
You have to take a bus, like a bus shuttle, but yes.
Okay.
Oh, lame.
I know. I was wrong. Wrong.
Rare Newark win.
They should have built a tunnel under BWI.
That might be the most egregious lie of the entire podcast.
I think, yeah, because that one's actually like an inaccuracy instead of just something stupid that I said.
And
it's a shame, too, because that sounded awesome.
I know.
Right? Like, I'm not sad when you get, like, a number completely wrong. I'm just amused. But a whole train station just disappearing out of thin air?
I know. Very embarrassing
Come
for
on.
me. Very embarrassing for me. But anyway, despite the controversy, construction on the 8 mile, quote, section A of, quote, phase...
Here's your ambition that we are not lacking.
This is now section A of phase 1, and I do love how we're kind of descending like various layers of cope here. but it finally began in 1976 at the very end of the year. They initially called this the, quote, BERTS, or BRRTS, the Baltimore region.
Bert. Is that the sound the train makes?
Well, I think
Bert.
it's like, you know, the A-10 Warthog, like the close air support aircraft. It has the big, like, Gatling gun on the front of it, and that's the noise it makes. So it's Bert! Bert! But yeah, they wanted to call it the Baltimore Region Rapid Transit System, or BERTS. But officials made the reasonable choice to change its name to the Metro before it opened. They changed that in 1981.
Yeah.
That might have been a good renaming.
I think so.
Cool.
And then they, of
Consonant
course,
haters rejoice.
renamed it to something much stupider several decades later. But
The Baltimore
I
Metro
digress.
subway link.
So construction on the first section took roughly 7 years to complete, and the line from Charles Center in downtown Baltimore to Reisterstown Plaza would begin service in November of 1983.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
Back in the day.
is Charles Center like a central place, or is it? Like
Or is it a mall?
Convention center or
It
something?
is, I think, like quite central to Baltimore.
Okay.
It's like it is like the
Wow.
middle of downtown Baltimore.
Yeah, this line does and continues to go very downtown.
And nowhere else, let it be known. Yeah, but I think Charles Center is like a hospital or something. I'm not sure. So the line was constructed at a cost of $797 million, which was quite a high cost for the time, although it would only be like $180 million per mile today. So, you know, not the worst in history.
Yeah. How does that compare to its contemporaries, like the Washington Metro and BART?
I really should have looked that up for a comparison, but I didn't.
Let's look that up now, because I think that's more valuable than any comparison we could make today.
The
'Cause not only do we have
internet.
general inflation, but we have actual construction cost inflation, and also incompetence inflation.
The internet is for. The internet is for. Why do you think the net was born? I will say, of like all the central stations in the world, it does have like a very understated subway entrance. Charles Center, that is.
I
Yeah.
want to see this.
Now look it in Google Maps. There's a bus lane next to it though, so that's pretty based.
I know, it looks pretty just stock standard.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have much pomp and circumstance. did
No, there's not a lot of ambition,
But on the flip side, great way to save money.
I guess. There's a halal taco shack next to it.
Cool. Did we figure out the cost comparison?
I thought you were looking that up.
Oh. I thought you were looking that up.
Oh, well, that explains why we were all just sitting awkwardly in silence for like 2 minutes.
I don't know. I figured maybe Wikipedia was slow today.
Wait, so are you doing it or am I doing it?
I am now doing it.
Okay.
Actually, I'll hit Washington Metro, you hit BART.
Oh, yeah.
they? And I'll just sit here and look pretty.
You're a professional.
Oh,
I love how DC Metro got special funding direct from Congress with its own special act.
So the original BART system cost a total of $1.6 billion at the time.
For how many miles?
So 71.5 miles. Oh, so this is BART is like what would have happened if the Baltimore Metro was, you know, successful. Because it was about 71 miles in length, the original BART system.
For $1.6 billion.
22 million a mile. Just over.
Really? Wow.
That seems too low.
No, it's right though.
I could have sworn we've looked at this before and it was a bigger but also still impressive number.
No, I think that's correct. I mean, it could be like 50 million, but still, that's a lot cheaper than this, and for a lot better like result. Like cities that built metros in the 60s and 70s like really won in terms of like investment to utility. So anyway, it's much more expensive than BART per mile. It's about $100 million a mile at the time. According to BART's website, the Transbay Tube only cost $180 million.
Damn.
So that sucks. I wish we could still build stuff that cheaply.
So yeah, I guess Baltimore was like way above comparable construction costs, which I suppose would explain the cutting back.
Yeah. So the system used 100 Bud Universal Transit vehicles, which are notable for being in operation on Miami Metro as well, which was also super expensive for no reason.
100 vehicles for 7 miles.
I know. They were ambitious.
Or 8 miles?
8 miles.
How many
They were
miles?
ambitious.
8 miles. Well, I suppose those are supposed to run on like Phase B and Phase C and whatever.
I guess. So the line Phase B opened in 1987 to reach Owings Mills at a cost of $255 million.
Cool. How
And
much longer did that make it?
not that much, like 5 miles. So it's cheaper than the
Okay.
previous line, but like still wicked expensive.
Well, but the previous line costs would have also included fleet and maintenance facility.
Uh-huh.
So,
So the line received fine-ish ridership for what it was, but it was by no means a standout success. And I would like to say that's what happens when you chop off half a line that you've already chopped 3/4 of a system off.
you really get a lot from that system effect of actually being able to use this to get more than one place.
True, bestie, true. So city and state leaders recognized that their transit system was kind of fundamentally incomplete, so they began planning a new addition to Baltimore's rail system. The light rail.
No, they were so slow they missed the metro area.
They missed the metro area and fell into the light rail era.
Rest in peace.
It was now the late 80s, and light rail transit was all the rage in cities across the country, and Baltimore wanted in because as we said, they
Everyone
missed
does.
the metro era.
Every city with a hint of ambition wanted a light rail line in the 1980s, and this is a simple fact.
Beginning at the end of the 1980s, Governor Schaefer, who was a Baltimore native and a former mayor, began to push for a new light rail line along the north and south corridors of the old metro plan. The new line began construction rather rapidly, which is, I guess, R isn't rapid in LRT. I'm thinking of BRT. And before anyone could believe their eyes, the initial 22.5-mile line opened in 1993.
Holy baloney.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we're going to start thinking about this in like 1989, and then, oh, we finished it. It's 1993.
Maybe if we built projects like that today, maybe our projects wouldn't cost $1 gajillion because we're just sitting here burning money doing environmental studies and waiting for funding and whatever the hell else you do when you're stalling a project.
Tell
Like the
me about it.
MBTA, one of the MBTA projects, I think one of the Green Line projects stalled for so long not actually doing anything that they burnt several $100 million just thinking.
That checks out, honestly.
It's more impressive, too, that I guess they didn't have as bad of a NIMBY problem this time.
Well, I think that's because...
Maybe the NIMBYs felt bad, as they should.
No, the NIMBY's depopulated because it's Baltimore.
So the NIMBYs flew to an even further away and even more economically
I believe
segregated
that
place.
is true, yes.
NIMBY
Where they
flight.
wouldn't have to look upon a single person with a different skin color or
Yeah, no
look upon a
melanin.
person who didn't have 5 cars.
No melanin allowed, no pores allowed.
Well, damn, that makes it bad that they NIMBY erased the actual metro. If they were just gonna move
And then
anyway,
they just left, yeah. Like, go be racist somewhere else. We're trying to run a
that
functioning
should be
city here.
the motto of this country.
Yeah, they should all move to, like, I don't know. What's a racist country?
Northern Idaho.
Oh, I was going to say to
They're
somewhere in
trying.
Europe.
Do you guys know about the Sanctuary Project? Anyway.
Oh, no.
Well, it was a bare bones system in the style of the original San Diego trolley. All of it was at grade, and with some significant sections of single tracking, which I guess explains why it got done so quick.
Yeah, well, I'd imagine that's more of a cost thing than a construction timeline thing. The single tracking. Structures for sure.
Yeah. Well, the bridge...
Not having to do structures
The
saves a lot
singular
of time.
bridge was single-tracked, so...
The bridge is single-tracked. This is a broke-ass project.
It was a broke-ass project.
Well, and then as much as we praise the San Diego trolley for having been built exceptionally cheap, it did come out with a lot of limitations in real life. Like, you get what you pay for.
Oh, and want to know the funny bit of the... Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but...
Oh, but I want to know it.
Don't tell me they didn't plan on ever double tracking it.
Oh, they did, but the funny
good.
limitation of the thing was that single tracking limited frequencies to not 10, not 15, not 20, not even 30-minute frequencies, but 17-minute frequencies.
That's dumb.
It sounds like they tried squeezing like as much time as they could have out of that. If they went to 17.
Well, they had to do it every 17 because otherwise it wouldn't work.
Line up.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we're seeing right now with front-runner double track projects. Is we're paying for a fair amount of extra double track to maintain a clock-face schedule instead of just doing fucking whatever.
Well,
so
soon afterwards, an ongoing 1.5-mile expansion of the metro subway system to Johns Hopkins Hospital was completed, bringing the system to its current extent, which
for a cost of
tiny.
For a cost of the entire BART system, about 1.3 billion, or wait, BART was 1.7, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was in the 70s.
For the cost of most of a BART, for most of a BART cost, they got approximately, drumroll please, 15.4 miles and 40,000 daily riders.
Well, what was the total Baltimore system cost?
$1.3 billion.
Okay, and do we have year of expenditure on that? When did they finish the 1993?
I did not. Yeah.
The year of expenditure on this is really important.
It's still more expensive. It's still just wicked expensive. 1993 is the year of expenditure. I don't think that...
going from 1970 to 1993 is a significant increase.
Yeah, there was
That's like almost 3 times.
There was a big inflation. I think that it's Kyle, I don't know where I got that number. I know the number is true, but I have to go look for the number if you want it.
Well, anyways, with the inflation factor of like 3, definitely not most of a BART, but still expensive.
I mean,
what's
it is
the cost
still,
per mile?
Even if it was $1 billion, Kyle, it's still most of a BART.
Well, no, because BART is $1.6 billion times roughly a 3x inflation factor is like 4.5.
For a total cost
in the
of,
90s.
excuse me, $1.4 billion, $1.392 billion in 90s, or wait, I think he just added up the cost of all the things. Oh my.
Without doing
any inflation adjustment. Let's see. I think I can figure it out. I can figure it out here.
Okay. If you want to read me like the amounts and the years, I can put them in the calculator.
So it was $797 million for the original line, and that was 1976.
I'm going to put all this in 2024 dollars just for the listeners' sake.
Sure.
So we are at $4.4 billion already.
Ouch. Zing bazinga.
Then what's the next piece?
And the next piece was $255 in 1987 dollars. Or wait, no. I think that would be 1984 dollars.
Okay, so that's an additional 770.
Okay, and then the Johns Hopkins extension was $340 million to build in...
Good goodness. How many bridges were there?
It was underground.
Oh, yeah, that would do it. What year?
I guess we should say $1993.
Sure. So that's an additional $740 million.
Okay, so what's the total?
The total is $5.9 billion in 2024 dollars.
Okay, I'm going to do BART now. Hold on.
Okay.
Expenditure year is 1.6 in 1972 dollars. So it is $12.27 billion in 2024 dollars.
So literally half a BART.
Yeah, half a BART.
Or half of a downtown San Jose BART extension,
Well, look.
which costs the same as BART.
It'll get more riders, though.
Then BART?
No.
Oh, God.
The BART extension will get more riders than the Metro Subway Link.
Oh, God.
You should cut most of that out and just put the numbers, but yeah, it's most of a BART, or a little over half of a BART, I think.
That's actually kind of depressing. Like,
for 15 miles.
How did the project management go so poorly?
I don't know, man.
Now, mind you, most of this was the Metro Subway Link, so most of the blame should go there.
No, all of that was the Metro Subway Link.
Oh.
I didn't say anything about light rail link costs.
Fuck. Well, this is broke ass coast.
Yeah.
Return to West Coast.
So, yes, let's continue, Alex.
Yeah. The rest of the current light rail link system was completed in 1997, with new spurs completed to Penn Station, which is the city's main Amtrak hub, Hunt Valley, and BWI Airport. The aforementioned single tracking limited frequencies, as we mentioned, to 17 minutes, but the feds came to the rescue and double tracking was completed in between 2004 and 2006.
Hey, maybe they were onto something with the single tracking.
Well, this is how it normally happens, actually, is if you build a light rail system with single tracking, the feds will come and double track it for you in a couple years.
Life hack. Today I learned.
I mean, that happened in Sacramento, that happened in San Diego, that happened in, I want to say, St. Louis as well.
Interesting.
So, but, you know, and the sad thing is, that's basically it for the current Baltimore rail system. Baltimore's rail network has not substantially expanded since 1997.
But why?
Bum, bum, bum. And that is because of the Red Line. It wasn't supposed to be this way. So in 2001, a group of folks at the state level developed a region-wide branding and expansion plan to better integrate the two lines. Did I mention that there's very poor transfer between them? You have to walk like 3 blocks.
This is unsurprising.
So as you can see on this lovely map here, the new plan called for expansions of existing lines, as well as several new services to fill in the gaps between existing transit and make Baltimore into a rail city.
We're slowly just making a dubious quality version of the original Metro plan.
Yes, that was the idea, actually.
Maybe the Metro planners were onto something.
They were really cooking.
Can I just mention real quick how much I hate this map?
What for?
The colors.
Oh yeah.
Also, what's with the lime green line having that spur to I-95 station?
You know, that one was really confusing to me as well, to be completely honest with you. Why would you...
Like,
you did this for what?
Is that like a park and ride for the airport?
No, because it's not even go to the airport. It's just like a spur for no reason.
But like you can take it the rest of the way to the airport.
I guess. But Martin State Airport isn't like a major commercial hub. It's just like, that's just what the station was going to be called.
Oh. Weird.
Huh.
So.
Okay. Well, no further questions.
Like, I don't even know if it has any commercial flights.
Oh. All right, then.
It's just the location of a MARC station, I think, which is why it was going to end there, so there could be a transfer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
My beloved.
But, you know, the Red Line was by far the most popular with both locals and state officials, since it filled in one of the most obvious gaps in the existing rail system and served dense, populous areas. But
Wow, I wonder why the Metro planners selected this alignment.
interesting concept. But it was not to be, at least at first. So first, the plan was stalled by people arguing about whether it should be built as BRT, LRT, or even another subway line.
Oh my god.
That's
Stop
right.
turning everything into BRT.
We have
It's
entered the Bush administration.
BRT costs less because it's worse.
The state favored BRT because of how pitiful ridership was on the metro at the time, just 45,000 per day, which is worse than a surprisingly large number of light rail systems.
It'd be funny if they had a whole system instead of 2 lines and a trench coat.
So they thought that because of this bad ridership, they would be unable to get federal funding for rail.
Ouch.
Locals, however, favored rail, whether light or heavy. And the governor agreed with them.
They actually wanted to get anywhere?
Yeah.
Based governor.
Opting for a light rail alternative that would run in disused freeway medians, including the infamous freeway to nowhere, and at street level. But there was one important...
It's very foreign to me as a Utahn having the governor being involved in transit planning decisions.
Well, what you have to understand about Maryland is that the only thing that matters is Baltimore and the D.C. suburbs. Everything else is just irrelevant, economically speaking. So...
Well, yeah, but in Utah, the only thing that matters economically speaking is the Wasatch Front.
And Logan.
Okay, Alex, keep telling yourself that. But there was
the part.
Go on.
No, you go on.
Okay, but there was one important.
I was just gonna whine about Utah more.
Fuck you! You did that on purpose. But there was one important feature: a tunnel under the congested, narrow streets of downtown Baltimore.
The channel.
Not the channel.
Aww.
The price tag, $2.2 billion, and the line was expected to get almost 60,000 riders per day. Preliminary.
Okay, regional connector.
Yeah, it's better than the Metro subway link trademark. So preliminary engineering was finally begun in 2011, and it looked like the already decade-old plan was finally beginning to roll.
And then we finally get somewhere in Baltimore.
Yeah, Kyle, can you read the next line for me, please?
Larry Hogan strikes again.
That's right, our friend / Larry Hogan, who you may remember
beating the transit system while it's down.
Who you may remember as the Republican nemesis of our Purple Line episode, was elected governor and immediately scrapped the project as boondoggle. Yes, so he killed the Red Line and slashed funding for the Purple Line.
What a class act.
Good guy, some might say.
Wait, no, he was governor of... Wait, yeah, what? And then he comes back to kill the Red Line. What?
He was governor at the same... This is the same time.
Oh. I forget how these episodes work sometimes.
This happened at the same time as the last episode, yeah.
Why do we have, like, the Red Line multiverse happening over here?
This is Avengers. This is better than Avengers. So, all the planning went down the drain, and the decision was eventually investigated by Obama for being racist. Because the funding earmarked for the line was sent to more Caucasian suburbs and rural areas.
Oh, great.
So I do like the idea of your decision as a governor being investigated by Obama for being racist.
I do appreciate that. Thanks, Obama.
I'm thinking of Obama in like a Sherlock Holmes, like, a trench coat and the weird hat and like a magnifying glass, but it's Obama.
I love that.
That would be a good political cartoon.
It would be a really good political cartoon. It probably is in like the Baltimore Sun or something from that time. So
I also love crying boondoggle about any project that I don't like that is expensive instead of investigating why it is expensive and how we could improve the situation.
So true. So plans with a new rail line squashed, the city and state began looking at ways to improve and integrate existing bus service, which created the Baltimore Link program.
Who names these?
So Baltimore Link united all transit in Baltimore under one branding and radically reoriented the bus system to fit service needs. So the light rail link and the metro link, or the metro subway link, excuse me, got their current appellations. They used to just be the light rail and the metro subway. And then 12 new high-frequency color-coded bus lines were put into service along core routes.
Wow.
Express and local bus service was restructured, and bus signs and shelters were improved and upgraded. All in all, $135 million was spent to improve Baltimore's bus service.
This sounds like they're making the best of an awful situation.
Well, the funny thing is, Larry Hogan did this. So he's making like the best of the bad situation that he created.
And therefore wants to reap all the clout that comes as a result.
Yeah.
What's it called when a villain is like the main character but also like has good intentions?
An anti-hero?
Yeah. Yep.
He's Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan is an anti-hero. You heard it first here, folks.
Or maybe he's also just evil and is trying to save face and doesn't actually care about transit in the long term.
Well, I don't know if he was evil, although he was investigated by Obama for being racist, so...
I don't know, that's a bit of a red flag to me.
Then he got fired.
How'd that happen?
The voters did this thing called an election. They happen occasionally in America.
Yeah. Speaking of, go vote.
Yeah, we can't endorse because reasons, but you know who we would vote for and vote for that person.
Well, we don't need to endorse anybody. The listeners just need to go vote.
Yeah, they need to vote for the right person, though.
I think if you're listening to this podcast, I think we're on the same page.
If you are listening to this podcast in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, or Arizona, or Nevada, you know who to vote for.
We're going to do the Elon Musk kind of bribery thing, but without money.
Yeah. So he got fired.
This is the shittiest call to go vote I've ever heard.
So he got fired, and current
By
governor...
the voters. Thanks, voters.
Yeah, thanks, voters of Maryland. And current Governor Westmore announced that the plan was back on because Joe Biden passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act and gave a whole bunch of funding for transit. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yippee!
And this project didn't get more expensive while we sat on it and didn't do it.
Oh, you're not going to like the price tag I quote you in a couple minutes.
Oh, great.
And just a few months ago, it was announced that light rail is once again the preferred alternative. Local advocates had feared that it was going to be a BRT line because, of course.
Again, this is the same case with the purple line of just the same governor delaying it, and then it's way more expensive.
So
and it gets done anyway.
Now there are 2.5 alternatives, one with a downtown tunnel, and then the other one is like 1.5 alternatives because they're kind of the same thing but slightly different.
With no tunnel.
No tunnel on those two. Alternative one is the one with the tunnel.
The price tag just keeps getting bigger, so we cut back the project accordingly.
Yeah. Well, alternative one has a tunnel through downtown, which I think is good. Alternative 2A has kind of a like classic bi-directional one-way transit mall thing going on downtown. And then alternative 2B has like just a normal street running line through downtown. Alternative 2B is the worst because it has no direct connections to the metro subway link.
Lame.
I actually do like 2A because they split up the red line, and it serves more areas, kind of.
That might make it slower, though.
Well, that probably is the case.
So,
we could fix this with a tunnel.
Yes, alternative 1. So, I don't know, go bother your legislators or whatever for alternative 1. And I wrote here, I very much hope that the cost snake does not eat this line, but I was too late because I
No.
found out later
It
that
got
it's
slurped
going
up.
that Maryland expects it to cost $6 to $9 million, or billion, excuse
Million?
me.
How? It's a light rail line. And I'm assuming the 6 is for the surface alternative?
The 6 is for the surface alternative. The 9 is for the tunnel alternative.
Do you have the length metric?
I believe it's about 20 miles. So we're talking like $500 million a mile for a light rail line.
And the
$6
rails
million
made out of gold.
divided by how many miles? 20?
20-ish.
$300 million a mile. This had better be completely elevated.
It's not. It's going to be mostly at grade except for the tunnel. Kyle is just like silent.
The Red Line Podcast would like to politely ask all governments and transit officials to stop chasing inferior technology and inferior routing choices, like BRT, for example, in an attempt to cut costs, because you are not escaping the cost snake. You are just... This is like in the cartoon where the boulder is chasing you from behind and you just keep running forward and forward, but it's still chasing you. You haven't solved your problem. You gotta jump out of the way of the cost snake.
We can just confidently say don't re-elect Larry Hogan.
I don't think that's possible.
Other good policy position.
I think he might be termed out.
Oh.
So
No, our anti-hero.
Or maybe he's not termed out. I don't remember. But, yeah. So, this is probably getting built. However, it is going to cost the voters of Baltimore and Maryland and the United States as a whole a lot more than it should have because of Larry Hogan.
Yeah,
So,
why does Larry Hogan get to cry boondoggle and make a necessary project more expensive?
Because he's a Republican. That's what they do.
So Larry Hogan is the boondoggle.
Pretty much.
And we should cancel him because he's too expensive.
Larry Hogan, you are hashtag canceled.
All right. Now with that problem solved, let's move on to world peace.
So, as far as sort of future developments in Baltimore Transit go, other than the Red Line, they're getting new trains from Hitachi on the Metro Subway link because their trains are really old at this point.
Cool. I didn't know Hitachi had a U.S. factory.
They do in Florida now because they're sort of doing because Miami Metro Rail has the same trains.
Right,
and so they're modernizing their train system, and so Baltimore is sort of like piggybacking off of that.
I'm glad to see Buy America is finally bearing fruit.
I guess. They're also starting they just put out bids last year to modernize vehicles on the light rail link, which currently uses, 30-year-old blue line rolling stock, basically. So, yeah, and, as far as the future goes, if the Red Line ever gets built and doesn't bankrupt the entire country, the Yellow Line could happen, the Orange Line, a Green Line Metro extension to the north and east. Anything is possible.
Let's take some bets. Yellow Line, I'm going to go $550 million a mile, completion date 2048.
Green
Orange
Line, never. Orange Line, never.
Orange Line, let's do $1.2 billion a mile, completion date 2099.
Green Line cost $10 trillion a mile, completion date 2147.
Completion date when the rails are underwater.
And the whole thing will be built as a BRT with no dedicated lanes.
Yeah, that somehow through runs onto the rest of the metro with those Japanese rail bus things.
Or they just convert everything to slab track.
Oh.
When the French take
on
over.
A metro?
Don't think about it too hard.
Where do you put the third rail?
On the ground so the buses can use it too.
Oh, good. This is sustainability trademark.
Truly.
So, I don't know. Build the Red Line. Maybe find a way to make it cost less because that is wicked expensive. Any other comments before we go to the conclusion, guys?
Viewers, after you're done going out and voting, seriously, voter turnout, especially for young people, is startlingly low, and you can make anything happen if you go vote.
Especially if you're in Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, Wisconsin, or Michigan.
Yeah, and if you live in a non-swing red state, vote in your local elections and consider moving to a blue state so they can have more electoral college votes, because the electoral college is fucking stupid.
And if the Democrats win, then we will officially rebrand to the blue line in celebration.
No.
I'd be happy to do that for like a week.
Oh, for a week? Yeah, sure, why not? I was going to say, we probably
we've
can't
discussed
do
the
that
implications of that previously. Anyways, after you're done going out and voting, go read up on the Transit Cost Project by, is it New York University?
I think it's by some guys at New York University. You can also watch episode, which one is it?
I don't know. Check our website, trlpod.com.
I'm looking it up. Episode 33. Go watch it / listen to it. Or
yeah,
die.
But seriously, this whole cost snake thing has been killing and maiming and horribly deforming far too many transit projects, and it will only get worse, and it will only start deleting more. It will start deleting more tunnels and more double track and turning more things into shitty buses that don't even have dedicated lanes. So we need to fix this cost problem if we want to do anything, let alone anything actually nice.
Yes.
I want another 60s metro era for this country,
that would be
but
so
we're not going to get
base-ed.
it if half of one line costs as much as the whole system.
Right, like half of what the Baltimore Metro should be costs like more than half of BART.
The Baltimore Metro?
Yeah. Like the entirety of BART costs as much as the 15-mile Baltimore Metro, which is just deranged beyond belief.
And then you add in like this new $6 to $9 billion light rail line, which runs
with
on the
street
ground.
Running.
My goodness, like if this was like a link light rail and it was completely grade separated except for like one stupid piece, sure, but it's on the ground.
We need to do church architecture podcast in Baltimore.
Okay.
And that was a
I'll do
completely
anything on the
unrelated
East Coast.
thought. Yeah.
What if we changed America's form of diplomacy to be building transit, and then we were able to mobilize the military in certain cities to like extremely fastly churn out new rail lines?
They just like
That's
sort of
basically how the Olympics work.
the Army Corps of Engineers. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's just building
We
trains.
need to get on that.
Yeah. I'm pro trying anything.
This is true. We need it at this point. We need
Well, the only
it.
catch is then all the lines will be, instead of being like the red line and the A line, will just be like Army Corps of Engineers Light Rail Line No. 1.
Yeah. There should be no parts and sections of plans. It should just be plan.
Oh boy. Anyway, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow and leave us a rating on iTunes and / or Spotify. If you like what we do here, please consider becoming a member on Patreon. Patrons receive early access to all of our content, as well as additional content and occasional merch drops. Speaking of patrons, at
Yeah, save that for me.
Metro Subway link tier, $10 or more a month. We have Zach Adams, Aaron, Curtis Herring, Devin Zander, Phobos2390, and Tony Stunts.
I was going to say, Zach Adams is like Metro Subway Link if they had built the whole system tier.
But he might just be Bart tier, honestly.
Barted with the sauce.
Fair. At this red line tier, $5 a month, we have Brian Smith, Christopher Whaley, DJ
Hi, Will.
Hi, Will.
Watkins, Elijah Kensler, G4, Isaac Madsen, Jesse Mayo, Nebula, Reluctant LA Resident, Robert P. Walsh, and Zephyr Zamoro.
Okay, one sec. I'm Googling
At Light Rail
the
link tier.
line. Yeah, what does it have a color? Or is it
It's
just
blue.
the light rail link?
It's blue, but it's called the light rail link.
It's blue. Because there's only one damn line.
Yeah.
At the blue-themed light rail link tier, inshallah, there will be more light rail links in the future. $3 a month, we have Alex Stykowski, Alice MYOB, Ben, Bradley Bondi, Ethan McDonald, Evelyn, Jack McCoskey, Litmus Zest, Martine Hecker-Martinez, Matt Gray, McKay Ransom, Oliver, Purple Waves, Sam Myers, Sky Lakowski, and Zach Verstott.
And at current Metro Subway Link tier, $1 a month, because it's green, get it. We have Benjamin Wood, Joshua S. Horvath, Kapil, and William Rowe.
Thank you for listening to all of our antics and lies.
Our very long and deceptive podcast.
We're playing the long con.
Yeah.
No, I think this was a pretty good episode as far as lies go.
Long con.
I had to recant one lie from last week, but
yeah, I am enjoying, at least especially from an editing perspective, this pausing to look up facts thing, because it's so much easier to edit around and fact check than when you just say things that aren't true.
but it's so much more fun to say things that aren't true.
Yeah, I know. Woke Bernie Sanders is coming for your lies.
Joe Biden is trying to steal your lies. Don't let him.
Joe Lyon.
Yeah.
Lion.
Joe
Truth. Lyon.
Joe Truth in.
And Joe Lyon's open border policy is letting lies in from the Mexican internet.
Definitely. Oh my goodness, that is the funniest thing you've ever said. Okay.
Ouch.
Any closing thoughts? No.
Go vote. I want to have transit built ever.
Yeah, if you vote for the wrong one, then it will never be built ever.
I was also talking with some... Yeah, you can go first.
Oh, I also want people I love to have freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Freedom
true.
is underrated. Or overrated, sorry.
Yeah, suit yourself. And I was also talking with some folks at the aforementioned Force South project meeting, and we were talking about how if the wrong folks get elected, we just might not have grants anymore.
Yeah, because grants are woke.
Yeah, it turns out your tax money is spent on actually useful stuff that helps people in their day-to-day lives. It's not just like sent to the money pit.
Service TM.
Like, stop whining about taxes being insert number instead of insert other number. Like, every last bit of this money is going to help real people and to fund real projects that you care about, whether you know it or not.